All right, so yesterday we had a good little article about what the peacekeepers do, some of their big jobs, some of their big challenges, where they come from. So today, though, we're going to look a little bit about their real history, some of the things peacekeepers have done over the years to actually keep peace and make the world a more peaceful place than it was before. Now, most of you probably know that the United Nations came out of World War II. All right, so we don't have peacekeepers before World War II. If we did, maybe there wouldn't have been a World War II.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
The idea of peacekeepers started after that. So their history isn't that long, but it is interesting. So let's check it out. It says the first peacekeeping operation was launched in 1948 when forces were sent to Israel. So this is just 3 years after the end of World War II, and they were there in Israel. This was when the peacekeeping operation was first launched. All right, launch is basically to begin something. You might launch a rocket or you might launch a boat. That means you're putting the boat into the water for the first time or shooting the rocket from the earth up to the stars. But we can also use it to talk about beginning something, especially something kind of complicated. For example, we could say the shoe company has just launched a new line of running shoes. All right, so they had a lot of ads, a lot of TV commercials, a lot of exciting stuff with celebrities holding shoes, and it's like, get them now! It's been launched, it's begun, it's started.
Okay, and then our article says this operation is still ongoing.
Wow, that's true. There's always been some conflict there, but nothing too major in that part of the world, so I guess that works.
So, which demonstrates just how difficult the blue helmet's job is.
Yeah.
Okay, so if something is ongoing, it continues to happen. For example, investigations into the murder of a wealthy man are ongoing.
Oh, so they're still looking. They're still getting clues.
Still
Maybe
trying to
they
figure
haven't
out.
caught anyone yet. And it said that it demonstrates this long period of peacekeeping in Israel and that part of the world demonstrates how difficult their job is. To demonstrate is to show, especially to show in a way that educates at the same time. If there's a new machine that you've never used before, but your friend has, you might say, hey, can you demonstrate how this works? You've used this before. Can you show me and teach me at the same time? That's to demonstrate.
And then we learn more about the blue helmets. In our article, it says, an early success for the organization came in 1957.
1957.
The year you were born.
No, I graduated high school in 1957.
Trying to make fun of your age.
I'm very old.
Okay, anyways. An early success for the organization came in 1957 when an international force went to Egypt after the, you need to help me,
The Suez
Crisis.
The Suez Crisis, that's right.
Suez Crisis.
When Egypt kind of went its own way and the French and the British tried to go in and seize the Suez Canal. But America was like, no, don't do that, you dummies. And it all kind of ended in an embarrassing fashion for Britain and France. But that was okay because they really shouldn't be taking that land. It wasn't their land to take. Anyways, this organization, when we talk about an organization, what is that?
Well, it can be a company.
Could be.
A business.
It could be.
A club.
It could be.
But pretty much it's formed or organized for a purpose.
Could it be a sports team? Sure,
yeah,
it could.
I think so, yeah. Could be. Okay, so the UN is an organization that was formed to promote world peace,
That's right.
Here's another one.
Okay.
Another example, the Cancer Research Foundation is an organization created to raise awareness about the importance of cancer research.
Yeah, so organizations, as Angeline explained, could do almost anything. It could be about playing sports, helping people, making money. The only way you wouldn't really have an organization if it's just you. Working by yourself. That's not really much of an organization.
That's true,
you need other people to join in. You need to have a plan. You need to have a system. And everyone needs to know what they're doing. All right, we're going to be back with the article very soon. And we have that word crisis in there. What is a crisis? It's a dangerous situation when bad things could happen. All right? When there's a crisis, people need to jump into action and do things quickly. Hopefully they do things in a smart way, and the crisis can be avoided or averted or ended. That's good. If the crisis becomes worse, then that's bad. You don't want to have a crisis that then becomes a disaster or something like that, because that would be much worse. But a crisis is a dangerous type of situation.
Okay, our article tells us that the man behind this operation, the one that was doing the Suez crisis.
Yes.
Okay, so the man behind this operation, former Canadian Prime Minister Lester Bowles Pearson, or just Lester B. Pearson.
That's how Canadians call him. Yeah.
Won a Nobel Peace Prize.
Nobel!
A Nobel
Peace Prize.
I'm sorry.
That's pretty impressive, right? A Nobel Peace Prize is given out to the person who's done the most for world peace.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
We can talk about the Nobel Prizes, because there's more than one of them.
That's true. The Peace Prize is sort of the most famous one, but there are many others.
There's ones for physics, chemistry, medicine, literature,
economics.
Yeah, and pretty much you're just the prize recognizes work that somebody has done and has helped the better of mankind.
That's right, by improving things in some area. And of course, the Peace Prize is sort of the one most related to politics. And people like Gandhi and Nelson Mandela and people like that have won it over the years. So it's a very, very great honor to win the Nobel Peace Prize, and Lester B. Pearson did. Let's read on.
So, Canadian Prime Minister Lester B. Pearson didn't just win a Nobel Peace Prize, he was also responsible for implementing the country's pension plan, the universal medical care, the unified armed force, and he even created a new flag for Canada.
And Lester B. Pearson wasn't the only person connected to the UN peacekeepers to win the Nobel Prize. As we read on, it says the Blue Helmets, the peacekeepers themselves, also won a Nobel Peace Prize in 1998.
Wow.
They had a number of very large successes around that time. And of course, the end of the 90s also saw the end of the war in the Balkans. And the Blue Helmets were very important in keeping the peace in countries like Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia, and Kosovo.
Wow.
So they won the Nobel Peace Prize themselves because they do a lot of things for peace. So they should win it.
They should.
I don't think they shared the money.
No?
I think the money probably just went to the UN.
Charity?
Yeah.
They give it to charity?
Because you win $1 million if you win a Nobel Prize.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Not bad. That's US dollars.
Wow.
It's not NT dollars.
Yeah, 1 million NT dollars wouldn't be very much.
It's not so bad, but $1 million US is better. Anyways, let's not talk about money. Let's talk about peace, man.
Okay, so our article says, despite its successes, many people feel the Blue Helmets is flawed.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so if something is flawed, it isn't perfect. It has maybe a weakness, or it's damaged, or it's spoiled. The opposite of flawed is flawless. F-L-A-W-L-E-S-S. And we can also use the word flaw as a noun when we're talking about a mistake, a mark, or a weakness that makes something.
Yeah, if you buy some clothes and you get them home and realize there's a little hole in your shirt, you take it back and say, hey, this shirt I bought yesterday has a flaw in it, right? It is flawed. There's a problem. Doesn't mean the whole thing doesn't work. It just means there's a problem. So some people say that the peacekeepers are flawed. Well, a lot of people say the United Nations is flawed, but I think when you have that many people from that many countries working together, you're going to have some problem. Okay, one of the complaints is, it says, for one thing, it takes time for the group to be organized and respond to a crisis. Now, of course, there are probably going to be more than just one complaint about the United Nations. So here we begin this sentence with for one thing, or first of all. Here's one example of some of the complaints. There will be others, but here's one. And the complaint is, yes, it takes them time to get organized and to actually get where they are needed to get or to respond to the crisis. True. All right, let's move on and see what some of the other things that people might say are.
Our article tells us that delays can have tragic consequences, as was the case during the Rwandan genocide in 1994.
Yes, that was probably the peacekeepers' worst moment.
So let's take a look at the word tragic. T-R-A-G-I-C. Tragic. If something is tragic, it makes you feel very sad, usually because someone has died or suffered a lot. For example, the tragic road accident took the lives of 20 people.
Ooh, that is tragic. Very sad and a very terrible situation. And things that are tragic often have bad consequences. Or one of the consequences of not taking action can be something tragic happens, like in Rwanda. What is a consequence? It's basically what happens when something else happens. For example, if you don't sleep at night, what's the consequence? Tomorrow you're going to be really tired. If you don't eat any food for lunch, what's the consequence?
You'll be hungry.
A few hours later, you'll be hungry. Maybe you'll have a headache and you'll be in a bad mood. These are the results of the actions that happened before. All right, let's get back to the article. The article talks about how the United Nations, it's true, they did not act immediately. And this delay resulted in the deaths of many people. That's right. They didn't take action. Certain countries in the world said, it's not that serious, or we can't go in there, or it's too dangerous. And because they kind of sat on their hands, as we say in English, didn't do anything, lots and lots of people died. So that was a sign. That was one of those good examples that they have to take action quickly, because sometimes the world doesn't wait for them to catch up.
So we were talking about the Rwandan genocide.
Yes, that's
and in
the
case
name.
you guys are wondering, what is a genocide? Well, it's the deliberate killing of people who belong to a particular racial, political, or cultural group. Okay, for example, when the Nazis killed millions of Jews, that was a genocide.
That was.
So in Rwanda, there were actually two ethnic groups, the Hutus and the Tutsis. And there's always been tension between these two groups. But the death of the Rwandan president at the time sparked this Rwandan genocide in 1994. And you know what? It actually took the lives of 800,000 Rwandans in just 100 days.
That's right. It was a terrible situation, and all the world could do was basically watch it happen because they just didn't have the people there to stop it. Another criticism is that evidence shows U.S. peacekeepers have abused their power in the past. This also is very shameful, but true. It's a criticism. A criticism is basically when you don't like something and you express that not liking something, and you also maybe express what is it you don't like. So, hey, did you like that movie? No, I didn't like that movie. The characters were unbelievable, the action scenes were boring, and the movie was way too long. These are my criticisms. These are the things that I didn't like about that situation. Criticism can be okay as long as it's also followed by good suggestions, right? So we talked about constructive criticism. That wasn't so good, but if you do it a different way in the future, it should be great. And then you think, oh, okay, I will learn from that. And we were talking about how sometimes peacekeepers will abuse their positions.
So to abuse something means to use it wrongly, okay? So they used their power maybe in ways that they weren't supposed to use it. I don't know, how do they abuse?
Well, they can steal things, they can abuse people, there's lots of different situations. Remember, these soldiers do come from many countries around the world. Some countries have more professional armies and more well-trained armies than others. So sometimes it comes down to a cultural difference as well between the peacekeepers and the people they're trying to help. But when you have, anytime you have an organization with lots of people from lots of countries, you are going to have problems, of course.
Okay, so although the Blue Helmets isn't perfect, okay, it has its flaws, or it's flawed, our article says, at the end of the day, the Blue Helmets has had a great impact.
Yeah, absolutely. When was World War III? We haven't had World War III, and I think a big reason for that is because of the work of the United Nations and the peacekeepers. So
exactly.
That's not perfect, but it's better than World War III.
Okay, and the phrase, at the end of the day, is the same as saying in the end, or when you consider everything.
Okay.
We have a shortcut for you video so that you guys can learn more about it. Let's take a look at it.